You might be asking yourself, why would you change the oil on a new vehicle that's under warranty? Doesn't that void the warranty? Oh, the truth of the matter is, changing your own oil does not void the warranty. As long as you're using the Ford manufactured parts and you save your receipts. That's the key, is saving your receipts. Given the time, you might be in an area where getting your vehicle to the dealership is not reasonable. I'm waiting on an appointment to get some warranty work done on my vehicle, and I'm 6 weeks out. So if you need an oil change, it might benefit you knowing how to do it. Plus, you get to know your vehicle better. You learn, some of your mechanical aptitude gets better, and it gives you, a lot of people like to, work with their hands. That might be a good skill to learn. So also, when you're changing your oil, it's a good time to wash your vehicle. Just give it a good wash inside and out. Well, the paint I'm using is just it's a 16 quart drain container I bought at the local hardware store here. It's got a little vent on here, and what's super nice about this pan is you pull this cover off and all the oil drains in there. Then you put the cover back on when you're done, and then you don't have to worry about spilling oil until you have to get rid of it. And then all your most of your local parts stores, a lot of local shops, they'll take your used oil for you. They'll take it for free. A lot of parts stores will just take it. So this container makes it nice, so you can throw it in the garage, and then at your convenience, you just go ahead and take it in, take your used oil in. So, all right, the first step of any oil change, let's check the oil. Let's see what we got going on here. Just grab a dipstick out, wipe her clean, throw her back in there. When you're checking, it's important to check the oil before you change the oil. That way you know how much oil you're using, and compared to you know if you got leaks, you know if you're burning oil. You can see if you're going through more oil. I don't know if you can see that or not. This, it's just above that bottom hole, so it's in the bottom of the operating range. It's not technically low until it gets below the hatch marks. It's not technically low until it gets below the hatch marks, so we're all right. And this engine is still pretty new yet. There's only 10,000 miles on it. So we are, it's just getting out of the break-in period. So everything in the motor should be starting to break in, should be worn in. Then if you're working in a shop or for yourself or whatever, a good practice to get into is to pull the oil cap off and just put it right in the hood hinge right here. That way if you accidentally slam the hood down without putting the oil cap back on, you know it. I mean, that's an easy mistake. That's an easy mistake to do. Fill it with oil, slam the hood, forget to put the cap on. I've seen it done a lot of times. And then when I'm up here, I just kind of go through, check everything. You're just going to want to give a quick overview of everything in the engine compartment when you're changing the oil. And when you change oil, it's a good time to just give your vehicle a good look over. And you're gonna want to check the fluid levels, make sure the coolant's good. You know, you never know if you sprung a leak somewhere. Just give all your fluids a good look in. Check your brake fluid levels. Your brake fluid, most of your fluids have an operating range on them. They have a low to high. And when you're doing an oil change, now is a good time to just check everything. Take a look at the belts, the hoses, everything. Nothing's really standing out to me. I mean, the fluids look all right. Not seeing. You could check the air filter too, since there's 10,000 miles on it. Not that. Yeah, air filter still looks good. It's just good time to check things over when you're changing the oil. So we'll throw her back in there, and then now if you notice on this vehicle, this is a 2.7 liter EcoBoost motor. We've got the oil filter right here. The oil filter's on top of the engine. It's easy to get at. I mean, it's a good design by Ford, and it's not like the old canister filters that hold a lot of oil. You don't have, you know, the canister filters, they hold at least a half a quart of oil. So when you're changing those, you want to fill the canister filter up with oil and then install it. These type filters, these canister filters, the cartridge filters, you don't have to worry about that. It's almost instantly gets filled up. So, all right, so we're under the truck now. I don't have no fancy hoist or anything like that, so I'm just showing you how you can do it on your own right now. So what we've got here, see if we can take a step back. There's a pan right here that needs to come off to get at that drain plug. And it's just held on by 4 bolts. So just use a little impact driver. What size are these? They're 8mm bolts, so an 8mm or a 5/16 are gonna work for this job. To just get that pan off. So what in the world is that? That's our drain plug. That does not look like a drain plug. I asked myself, what was that when I first saw that? So basically, yeah, it's a plastic oil pan, and it's a plastic, just a little plug. And the way this drain plug works is you just turn it out and you put it back in. And I'm not sure why Ford went to it, but it kind of threw me off when I first saw it. So it just works just like any other plug. So go ahead and we're just gonna turn it to the left here. All right. And then make sure you get your pan under there and just pull it out. Then we'll let the oil drain a little while. Once she stops dripping like that, we'll you can see the plug. It's just got a green O-ring on there. Make sure we're inspect that O-ring really good. Look for tears. And when you install it, you're going to want to make sure that it's lubed. You don't want that O-ring getting caught up. Just lube it with the engine oil. And you can see how the threads work on there. It just bites and then it clicks in there. That's it. That's all it is. Ford must have gone this way because my guess would be that a lot of inexperienced people love to over torque that engine drain plug. I've seen a lot of ruined oil pans over the years. So I'm assuming they're just kind of making it foolproof to do the maintenance. Kind of make the maintenance dummy proof. So I just go back, I just start it until I feel the threads start to kick in there, and then go ahead and you hear that click, and then that should be it. Yeah, we just want to make sure that we're cleaning up all the oil, whether it's your car or a customer's car, your friend's car. You know, you don't want to be leaking oil on your driveway or anything else. And you want to know if your car is actually leaking oil. And you can't know if your vehicle's leaking oil if you leave a mess behind. That's kind of one of my pet peeves in working on stuff, is just clean up anything after yourself. And you can see now there are no oil drips. So if you crawl back under here and there you see oil drips, then you know it's leaking, and then you know you got a problem in the future. Then when we're going to put this cover back on, see how that little ring is sticking up. It's going to make our lives easier. Just push that down. It'll just make going on there easier. There's more threads to grab now. But then if it fell off, not a big deal. Like this one, it fell off. Just make sure you don't lose the bolt. Install the other 3. So what I'll do is I'll just always start everything by hand. Just hand tighten them, and then we'll zip her down. Alright, and then when putting the cover back on, you can see the lip right underneath the oil pan here. That's where this goes on the cover. So go ahead and slide her in there. And then just get one screw started at a time. These screws, just start them by hand. Just start them a couple turns by hand. Alright, so the parts I got here, I bought all the filter and then the 6 quarts of oil. It calls for 6 quarts of oil. And then we got the cartridge filter here. Alright, it calls for 6 quarts of oil, and then I got the filter here. I like to buy all the parts, especially since it's under warranty from the Ford dealer, to use Ford OE specific parts. I do that for a few reasons. One, because of the warranty. They can't come back and say, hey, you didn't use the Ford specific parts. And then two, that's what the vehicle calls for. That's what the vehicle's designed to use. And it's, you know, the Ford parts, the quality is a lot better than the aftermarket stuff. You know, and it's what your vehicle calls for. So I just like to use the Ford stuff. Just keep it keep it as close to OE as possible. All right, now for the top filter oil change. For the oil change, you just got a nut there. Again, these are plastic threads, so they shouldn't be over torqued. I'm using a 27mm socket. You might be able to get something else on there, an adjustable wrench of some type or whatever else. I know a lot of tool manufacturers make special oil filter sockets, and if you just have a good, decent set of sockets, a lot of those tools you really don't need. So I got my 27mm socket on there, and I change oil last, so you really shouldn't need any torque to break it free. I'm holding my phone with one hand and just turning with my wrist and able to break it loose. Alright, and then we're pulling it out, and then here's the oil filter housing here. I should have used a rag to grab that oil that came out. And you can see there's O-rings on the cap here, and then there's an O-ring right there. They give you new O-rings through the Ford. That's another reason why I like using the OE parts. They give you O-rings with the filter. Some these aftermarket companies don't do that. So we'll replace the O-rings just to make sure that it's making a good seal. Otherwise, if you don't have O-rings, just look at the rubber. Rubber a lot of times can be used more than once. Just make sure that the rubber is still good. It's not flattened out. If you look at the rubber and it doesn't stick out beyond the plastic case, then it's not good. Then it needs to be replaced. But this, it's still got some this you could reuse. But I'm gonna replace them since I got new ones. It's always a good idea to replace the seal. But if you had to, these O-rings, you could reuse them. Alright, so now we'll replace the filter. Just pull it out, get your rag ready, catch some of that oil. Then we'll recycle this. And then we'll install the new one. Always look at it to see if it's directional or not. If it's directional, it should have some wording on there. This one, it doesn't seem anything. It's symmetrical, so this one does not look directional. So we're just gonna install it how we took it out. Put it back in there. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that hole right there. The filter needs to fit on that hole. It needs to go into it. So you need to put it on, and you should be able to feel it bottom out. It just moves on that hole about a quarter, probably half an inch, and then it bottoms out. So now you know you're good. And we'll grab We'll grab our cover here. We'll throw our new O-rings on there. These O-rings, if you have a pick like this, you just get under there. Just get under that even that I'm replacing this, I try not to ruin the O-ring, because if something happens to the new one, then if something happens to the new one and you don't ruin the old one, then you can always try to use the old one. So there's that. You can also use, if you have a screwdriver, little flathead screwdriver, stick it behind the O-ring, try to get behind there without damaging the cup. See, like that. You could do that and then just go around and you pull it right off. Do that with this one. All right. Install the new O-rings. You want to make sure that you lube them up a little bit when you put them on. You do not, the worst thing you can do is tear a new O-ring, and that's going to leak for sure. So I'll just grab a little fresh oil and lube up the O-ring. Alright, so this little one's going to be the hardest. Yeah, it's not going to go on there real nice. Just roll it over on the top. That's what I'm doing. Then if you have a little pick like this, you can get behind there. And then once you get that pick to a certain level, you can use that as leverage. I don't know if you can see that. Yep. And then just go around. That. Then make sure you didn't tear it. The big ones, just start on there. Should be able to just pull it over with your fingers and just roll it down. It doesn't matter which one goes where with these green ones. They're both the same size. And just make sure it's on there good. Before you throw this on, I always just grab my rag Just make sure there's nothing in the threads. Make sure it's clean, nothing in the threads. All right, we'll put it back on. Again, this filter just has plastic threads. What makes the seal are those O-rings. So you really just tighten it, start it by hand to make sure you're not cross-threading it, and then use your wrench and just tighten it till it bottoms out. And then you need almost no torque. See, I'm just turning with my wrist. It bottomed out. And that's it. It's tight, and that's all you need. That's all you need for that. Mr. Chicken, how did we do? The chicken will be helping us change the oil. Put 6 quarts in there. Just a side note here, the chickens are helping change the oil. Very good workers. Anyone who's needs the extra help, let me know. All right, we got our 6 quarts of oil in there. Make sure you clean up any oil that you spilled. You don't want to make yourself think you have your own leaks. Just keep in mind, I mean, brake cleaner works really good for that. Brake cleaner is good. If you spill a lot, you know. Okay, so the next step would be start it. As we run it, the oil light might come on here right away, but we just want to run it until the oil light shuts off. You don't have to run it very long. Oh, shut her off. And then, after you run it, just double check the level. Same thing as before, we pull the dipstick out, wipe it clean, reinstall. And then on the dipstick, it should be where it's solid, where the oil's solid. You can see, I don't know if you can see it right there. It's right towards the top of the hatch marks. So that's good. That's 6 quarts. That's exactly what it calls for. It's right in the top of the crosshairs. So we're good under the hood. Make sure the oil cap got reinstalled and put the dipstick tube in. All right, so we're gonna reset the oil light now. Just climb in the truck, turn the key on. Just needs to be on. We'll let it cycle through here real quick. And then we're gonna hit menu. Okay, and then we'll scroll down to vehicle maintenance. We'll go ahead and hit OK. And then oil life. We'll hit OK there. And then we'll hit reset oil life. And it says hold OK to reset. We'll just hold down OK. Boom. Oil life reset. All right. We should be good now. And these chickens really like my truck. All right, guys, if you learned anything or you took any value from this, please do me a favor and like and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.